Micropipette handling. This is a micropipette. Here is the stand for the micropipette. And this is a box of very clean, sterile tips. Keep the lid of the box always closed to keep them clean. Micropipettes, with a tip on the end, can measure very small volumes of liquid accurately. This micropipette measures 20 microliters of liquid, that is, 1/50th of a mil. It is important to take care of the micropipette to ensure that it continues to measure accurately and to avoid cross-contamination. Micropipettes should always be in an upright position to ensure that liquid does not accidentally enter the micropipette shaft. Wear gloves and clean the surface of the micropipette with an ethanol wipe at the beginning and at the end of your work. You should also clean with an ethanol wipe if you suspect contamination of the surface has occurred at any stage. Hold the micropipette in a vertical, upright position during use, in either hand with the black tip ejector facing your thumb. Practice pressing down slowly on the white button on the top of the micropipette to the first stop. Hold for 2 seconds and then releasing the button upwards slowly. Then practice pushing on the white button slowly to the first stop and then pushing slowly further to the end, the second stop. Hold for 2 seconds and then releasing the button upwards slowly. Now we will use the micropipette to measure 20 microliters of liquid from a sample tube to a reagent tube. Place the sample tube into the sample rack. Place the reagent tube into the reagent rack. Remove the lid of a disposal bottle. You could use an empty milk bottle for this purpose. Loosen the lid of the sample tube. Hold the micropipette in one hand. Open the lid of the tip box with the other hand. Do not touch the tips. Gently insert the bottom end of the micropipette into the top of a tip. Tap gently to check the tip stays on. Lift the pipette away with the tip on the end and close the tip box. Using your free hand, place the sample tube lid upside down on the bench. Now pick up the open sample tube without touching the top and inner edge of the sample tube. Press the white button on the top of the micropipette down to the first stop and hold. While holding at the first stop, place the tip into the top layer of the liquid in the sample tube. Slowly release the white button upwards to draw up the liquid. Lift the tip out of the tube. Place the tube back into the rack and sit the lid on top. Pick up the reagent tube and carefully open using your thumb to press upwards on the lid. Avoid touching any part of the lid that goes inside the tube. Place the tip inside the reagent tube and just into the top of the reagent liquid. Press the white button slowly to the first stop to eject the measured liquid. Mix the contents by slowly releasing and slowly pressing down the white button 4 times. At the last downward button press to the first stop, hold, and then lift the tip just clear of the liquid. Touch the tip to the inner wall of the tube just above the liquid and press the button further through to the second stop and hold to eject all the remaining liquid onto the tube wall. Move the tip off the wall of the tube whilst holding the button at the second stop. Slowly release the white button and lift the tip clear of the tube. Close the tube lid without touching any internal parts and place the tube back into the reagent rack. Discard the tip into the disposal bottle by holding the tip just inside the neck of the disposal bottle and pressing the black tip ejector. The tip should drop off into the bottle. Place the micropipette back on the stand. Always use a new tip between samples and for each reagent. Be aware where the tip touches. If you bump a rack or the bench or the outside of a tube, then you must discard that tip. If a used tip falls onto the bench, leave it there until the end of the testing. Do not leave tips on the end of the micropipette when on the stand, as they will not stay clean or they might get used twice, creating contamination across samples and/or tests.